Namaste and hello and welcome, Shiva Rea. Thank you so much.
So wonderful to be with you, Sridhar, and of course the Bhakti family.
Thank you. How have you been, first of all?
Well, I actually have been traveling this summer. I went to 5 countries in Europe, the places where I have family and longtime community, and I'm getting ready to go to Kerala for Navaratri, which is early this year. So
I'm
I'm
excited.
back as a global citizen, but I always miss our Bhakti Fest family and
Yes, and we miss
what's
you.
happening here in California, and so I feel invigorated by being able to connect with people live again, and so I'm
Wonderful.
looking forward to our time coming up.
Fantastic. So, to start off with, first of all, welcome everyone to Bhakti Speaks. As you know, we have these regular interviews with luminaries that have been longtime friends and family to me. Shiva, we go back more than 20 years, I'm sure. I don't even know, but we've been through a lot together, and we've always come out of everything individually and together with love. And that's
Yes.
always been our bottom place that we seeked out. Interesting enough, when you had your episode with cancer, I had my episode with cancer pretty much at the exact same time. I remember commiserating with you by texts and emails and sharing what we were experiencing and how it was going to help other people, perhaps when they have to deal with situations like that. And I'm so happy that you came through so gloriously and you look so gorgeous and healthy. And I'm pretty much happy myself about me also.
Yes, yes. Well, we all have to face challenges in life, and um, yeah, I lost my mother she was quite young to cancer. So while I don't identify with that, I feel myself as a whole soul and thriving. My heart is full of compassion for all beings as we uh, rise to the occasion of challenges that, as you mentioned, deepen our journey into love and realization of what it's all about.
So, just keeping on that thread, when you were going through this situation with cancer, and I don't know if many people know about your situation and mine because we didn't really want to make it too public, right? So, what was your experience when you were going through it? How did you maintain a mindset and a physical being and like other things that you went through in order to maintain and keep yourself going through this difficult time?
Yeah, it's interesting. I had just come back from Varanasi, and I was on this roll of going to Varanasi for Mahashivratri. I had just turned 50, and I was feeling really healthy. And I think that's the thing about our journey in life is we can't always see what's around the bend. We may or may not even have a sign, but I had all of the markers of that this could be a potential challenge from my family history, and I think that we both share a Satguru and Amachi. I think coming from India, being centered in a bhakti worldview, which for me begins in our heart and is a daily moment to moment practice of feeling every cell in our body is made with that love essence. Uh, you know, when I look at you, I also think of Ram Dass and, all of these great beings who face physical health challenges by the power of sadhana and the gaze that our teachers and our gurus have given us that steady us through the storms. So I was quite amazed, having had really, besides malaria, when I was a volunteer in Kenya, 17 years old, I got malaria and, spent a year and a half really dealing with recurring malaria. I had really not had any major health challenge. So what amazed me on a couple of levels was that love sadhana and that inner body sadhana, the subtle body sadhana, which is for me the kind of core of even a movement meditation practice, is really coming to feel our life force and the prana inside us. That I felt like all of that love and vital energy allowed us to meet a challenge. There's windows where you're going through all these tests and you're not sure. Some people think it's at advanced stage. Some people don't know, and you really get to come to that contemplation of what's the essence all about. These are our moments to live for everyone, and all of the mantra and all of the love and all of the prayers are there for us. So when we're in our sadhana, it's like a storehouse, a chest, a well that we drink from. And I still feel that unified field of love. It brought me through it. It allowed me to embrace these changes. And I think the difficulties are that so many people's perception, strangely, even in the yoga community at large, is that a health challenge is somehow that, oh, our yoga wasn't there for us, or how could this happen, to you? But we're in an extraordinary times, and a lot of people go through things privately. And for me, there should be no shame around the challenges that we experience. As you said, to be open and speak about these challenges help us to, one, not only feel that humanness, a tender humanness, the compassion, to, in a way, know that particularly with Bhakti Yoga, it's to bring that love to the difficult spaces. It's to bring that love to where it's needed. So I think I was surprised at actually the power of the sadhana when it's put to the fire. It's there for us. It's there for us. So it's a deepening into love, and it's not that there aren't challenges on the way, but the power of love is astoundingly there for us.
Is that during those periods of difficulties, health-wise and otherwise, and when we're challenged so much, there's a lot of confusion that takes place, right? Especially with situations like this, right? We go here, we go there, we listen to this person, we listen to that, and then we have to take it all in. And we, as the individual who's going through it, has to make the final choice, the final direction, the final movement, And that is always guided by love. And it's guided by the inner teachings that we've had over the 50 some odd years that we've been practicing. I mean, it's, come on, now's the time. And that's what the voice kept saying to me. Well, now's the time. If you can't summon up all this grace and this love that has been bestowed upon you and your participation in all these great ceremonies and acts for the last 30, 40 years, this is the time. There's never going to be another time for you to dip into that. Because our life was on the line. But why? It doesn't really mean we have to wait until our life is on the line to dip into this well. And that's a point that I really want to elaborate with you, because this should be part of our everyday practice, being able to go deep deepening into our own self through our practice. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think, the changes that we find in the world is that there's an increase in the potential of fragmentation. Just there used to be a few ways that we would find each other. Now there's all of these portals and it's 24/7. And, the number of teachers and artists that we know who, even when you're on the path and committed to a natural rhythm, it's easy to be pulled into the static. And I think what I hear you saying is these health challenges really give us perspective. Any kind of challenge gives us perspective. And I think that, mantra and kirtan and movement meditation are meant to dissolve the fragmenting static, so we can be not only guided on a deeper level, but taste the fruit now. So I know you deal with this as an organizer. It's almost like people don't give you a break until they realize you're just human like everybody else. Nobody should be, being pulled from all directions at all times. And so it strengthens, I think, a commitment to live yoga, to be in a more natural rhythm. I've been dedicated to that. I found that it was essential for reclaiming a rhythm, a sustainable rhythm, to, in a way, be an advocate for that in the world. So that brings us to like why I miss Bhakti Fest, but I'm happy for you to not have that tremendous responsibility
Well,
all the time.
actually, we're coming back next year with some very big.
Yay! But in
we're-
other words, at least have a break. We were on a
oh, yeah.
roll. It was like 12 years.
And then like 3 years absence, but something, it's been a good time. It's good time
Like
to
a reset.
reset. Been to India. I'm going to India again next month. I'm
Yes.
going to be spending time with Alma in Amritapuri.
Wonderful.
Also going to get my executive checkup like I did the last time there at the hospital. But I'm looking forward to getting back into that groove. I'll be in Vrindavan, and I'll be in Rishikesh also. And then, of course, I'm going back at the end of January when I take my small little 24 people back to India for our yatra for 3 weeks. So a lot of people might not know how you got into yoga, or what's your background. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because for me, you're one of the top yoga teachers in the world internationally, and you've always been that way for me. But a lot of people might not know who Shiva Rea is.
Well, honestly, I always feel very shy when people say something like that. I certainly don't have that view of myself. I only know that the blessing of being given my name by my father, who was really an artist who was in love with the whole worldview of Nataraj. He was a surfer and a sculptor, and studying Asian art at the time. He was just 20 years old. And that bija, that seed, and even the way he described it, like he didn't know exactly, but he was driving back while I was still with my mother at the hospital, and the moonlight was just around, the full moon was shining on the ocean. And then he said, well, maybe Shiva. How about giving her the name Shiva? And that seed has stayed with me, not only from, being able to be in a natural rhythm with the ocean for the first 4.5 years of my life, going to, you know, moving to Berkeley and seeing my mother in her yoga classes in Berkeley when my father was going to UC Berkeley. And, there were so many devotees at that time in Berkeley. It was just, a sea that would come down, Telegraph Avenue. Uh, and so I was exposed to a lot of that movement that you were at that time, I think, uh, might have been going down Telegraph Avenue. But I got the impression of not only a kind of the vibration of yoga, and always trying to understand my name, because I just wouldn't accept that it was the Lord of Death, the Lord of Destruction. I was like, that doesn't seem right to me. Even as a little girl, I was like, that's not right. And of course, my first journey, and I'll kind of fast forward, was by that time we moved for junior high and high school to Memphis, Tennessee. And once again, I'm on this kind of quest to understand Shiva, which is, as we know, a lifelong journey. And I found some books on yoga in the library, and I took that home, and I went into a spontaneous state. When I look back, I'm amazed that a book introduction still can be so valuable, because it's like the bija was there, the seed was there, and it just gets watered by all these small influences. So I found the only yoga class in Memphis. It was on Saturdays, and I would ride my bike about 14 miles to go and then come back. It was like a all day affair, and it really, in a way, catalyzed a journey that, as a young teenager, I wanted to go to India. And I was prepared to go to India to do volunteer work before going to, I was supposed to go to New York University. Can you imagine me in Manhattan? Um, but Indira Gandhi had just been shot, assassinated, which is so intense. So they weren't allowing anybody into India at that time. And so my next choice was to go to Africa. So I was in a volunteer program in village development in Kenya. And I was doing the meditation that I had been learning, from my teacher, who at that time was from the Himalayan Institute. And I found an orphanage that was being run by yogic nuns. And so I ended up working there for a year in kind of the outskirts. Some people would call it the slums of Nairobi. And in, 3 times a day sadhana, and just what a fortunate for me background to, have it come naturally, to have this experience that our consciousness does guide us from within. The guru is working from within and is, putting these pieces together, so that when I came back, I was looking for a program that was what I was experiencing in Kenya and village development, which was, there's a power to movement. There's a power to movement, music, and community working together, and that somehow development was missing that piece. So I found this program called the World Arts and Culture Program at UCLA. And at that time, Yoga Works on Montana literally just had opened. And so I was, a young Ashtanga student. I think there was only 2 people in the class, me and another woman. And so that journey in Krishnamacharya lineage, it was a time when, as you had the experience in such a profound way, where, teachers were coming over, and often smaller numbers in the beginning. And so, being at Yoga Works was an opportunity to study with many, many teachers in the Krishnamacharya lineage. Also to kind of see the revolution and journey of which we've come to now, where there's things that I didn't feel comfortable with. And it brought me back to India. And I ended up doing my master's thesis on Hatha Yoga as a practice of embodiment. And that brought me to my current teachers in Kerala. So I was initiated also during this time when I was at UCLA by Amma, and that started a whole journey of the heart and the importance of really going to India and experiencing yoga in India directly. And I became an initiate of this amazing movement form, Kalari Payatu, which I know you know from being in Kerala. So my primary movement teachers now are really centered in Trivandrum at CVN Kalari. And the guru call there, Navaratri is a very important time. So I've been in this kind of biannual pilgrimage to India, Navaratri, Shivratri. And now I do have many teachers that people probably would not know their name. They're centered in temples. They're elders. They're sometimes grandmother yoginis. It's been an extraordinary journey. I'm going back to some of these places. I usually go privately. I find that the grace that happens when we allow our teachers to also draw us to kind of our ultimate destiny. And so I would say my background is in three primary areas. One, as a dance ethnologist, kind of like movement anthropology. I feel so blessed to have studied movement meditation, in West Africa, going back to the University of Ghana in the Caribbean, in India, to have studied Indian classical dance with some extraordinary teachers in Odissi and Bharatanatyam. So there's this kind of dance movement transmission that I just feel so grateful for, from teachers who are really ritual leaders, so that it wasn't like a facsimile of a tradition, but really getting that direct transmission. And then, of course, there's the Krishnamacharya lineage, and really, and as I've mentioned, Kalari Payat, but also I feel so fortunate to have been with extraordinary kirtan artists. My son is named Jai after my mother, Victoria, but I just found a picture when he was, 2 years old with Jai Utal, and we're on retreat. And just, if I start naming names, then I don't want to forget anybody, but like all of those amazing artists that, we've had a chance to collaborate together, and conversations about bhakti rasa and these extraordinary experiences of a room, festival size, sea of people coming from a state of difference into a space where we can feel is that shared power of the heart.
The one internal being that dwells in all of us.
Yes.
And that's what gatherings are all about. If we miss that opportunity when we gather, then we're missing the whole essence of why we get together.
Yes.
And that's why we focus so much on creating that kind of vibe in Bhakti Fest, when we had that beautiful altar in front of the stage, which we're always paying homage to our teachers and those who came before us that set the path for us to dwell. Yes. Never forget that at all.
Yes.
how important do you think is a daily spiritual / yoga meditation practice?
You know, um, I have this worldview that at some point, as soon as you open your eyes in the morning, even in Ayurveda, the ritual of opening your eyes in the morning, take those first moments of awakening and connect with the source and how you call upon the source. Give thanks for this breath, our breath. Give thanks for this day to live. And then at the same, when we go to bed at night, and pretty much from our waking moments to when we enter the dream time, it's all nitya sadhana. It's all our daily sadhana. And that's what I love about Bhakti Yoga is it's really our moment-to-moment consciousness and how we respect each other, the spirit of offering. And I do feel that having forms and techniques are ways that are really invaluable for the types of stresses and tensions and guiding ourselves and through householder life. So I'm a big advocate of householder ritual of I offer vinyasa as movement meditation. So we study both kind of classical namaskars, but then, elemental namaskars, practices that can be 20 minutes or a 2-hour immersion or 5 minutes or just a moment of connecting to the heart. So I think it's essential for navigating one's evolution to be able to, as as is in the tradition, to tend the fire of our life force, tend the fire of love. So yes,
And
yes,
we can't,
yes, yes,
yeah,
essential.
we can't be lazy or uh, concerned that it's not working, so to speak, because everything is on such a subtle level. It's all working.
Yes, and also this whole thing of solar lunar. I mean, for some of us, what some people might call lazy is for us resting like tigers, being able to understand lunar practice, the role of lunar practice, of having rest and meditation and yoga nidra, as that ground. But yeah, I think during the pandemic, our heart of compassion got wider. Our acceptance of ourselves as human beings on this soulful journey, and to kind of not be so judgmental for sure on the path. I think Bhakti Yoga softens our judgment, or at least the schools that I study in.
Well, this COVID and the pandemic really threw a lot of other stuff at us. It's been 3 years now. What's the feeling? What do you think is the feeling out there now? I know the yoga community raised up and had a lot to say about the vaccine. I pretty much stayed out of all that fray because I didn't want to choose sides. People kept calling me and trying to push me this way and pushing me that way. And my basic understanding is everyone has to decide for themselves.
Yes.
Exactly what works for them.
Yes.
Not what works for you, not what works for him or her or she or me. It's only me about, does this work for me? Then I'm going to do it. And it doesn't make a difference what all the other noise around it is, right?
Yeah.
That's how I came to terms with my own dealing with it, And I did take I took the vaccine mainly because I had my situation with cancer and there was something in the background there, and I just wanted to. And then what I did is I picked myself up and I moved to Mexico for 5.5 months the first year in 21, and then in 22 I did it again. And I lived there for 4.5 months. by myself, by the beach, quiet, doing my work every day, meditating, swimming every day, eating good food, and just being quiet and staying out of all this noise. But I kept seeing it. I kept hearing about it. I kept getting message about it, I didn't agree with it. I thought there was too many infightings and too many people pushing their opinions on each other. I'm happy it's finished now. Let everybody just do what they have to do and forgive everybody for whatever it is. Forgive ourselves, forgive everybody else, and just continue the work. It's very important. Over the years, I noticed how when we used to get all these submissions for this yoga teacher and that yoga teacher, it was a trend for a while. Everyone wanted to become a yoga teacher. Basically, because they were looking at life and they were saying, well, I don't want to work in the corporate area, right? And I don't want to go here and I don't want to go there. Well, maybe I can just go and become a yoga teacher, right? Sadly enough, that doesn't work out, because as you know, and most people find out difficultly, is you're not making a living being a yoga teacher for the most part. So it's going to be very difficult for everybody to do that. Same thing with the kirtan movement and stuff like that. I think teaching yoga should be particularly addressed to helping other human beings raise up their consciousness and get into a better place of life. And when you're approaching teaching like that, it all comes together beautifully, and you're not stressed out that you have to make the dollar or this or that, which increases, for me, sort of like the impurity of the end results. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I agree with you, and basically I began my path that way. And it really surprised me after working, 7 years full time, that there became a point in my journey where, in order to keep flowering, sorry for some sounds around,
I
in
love
order
it.
to keep flowering, that's my puppy. I did need to let go of the work I was doing before in order to keep flowering. But that was, as you described, it happened very organically. And I always advise teachers that this is your svadharma. This is your art. This is the art of your heart. It's too sacred to put it on the kind of ups and downs of a job market.
Correct.
It's in a way noble to have a profession or a livelihood in which you can be stable inside that. And I agree with you, and yet I also really feel for so many amazing teachers who lost yoga studios where they were teaching, studio owners. It has really affected the community as a whole, and people who are doing such great community work. So I feel like, also from what I've seen in India, yoga is seva, but there is a circular exchange. And so, my compassion is for those people who, had a whole life of which they were living their dharma and are now adjusting in various ways. I do think that there is a resurgence that is happening. It's happening in a very organic, grassroots way as we find new spaces to gather. And that we are on the side of where, research and health, and both physical health, mental health, community health, is showing the power of music, movement, meditation, prayer, community. So we have, in a way, all of the natural ways to kind of kindle and support each other at this time. So I think that once we refigure where we can gather, that it's a very, very valuable way individuals and communities can continue to evolve together in our, inner and outer health and well-being and realization.
I'm bringing up people who have lost their studios. Bhakti Yoga Shala, our
Yes, yes,
Samudra,
yes, yes.
who've been holding down the kirtan yoga scene here in Southern California at their studio for so many years in Santa Monica. Bless their hearts. But they're still thriving now. They're still,
Yes.
they just made a change now.
Yes.
They're doing these programs up in Topanga, by the which you're going to be with them, I think, on September 4th?
Yes.
On Topanga.
Yes.
I think people should contact bhaktiyogashala.com
yes.
for further information there. But it's going to be a great, what is it, a 2-3 hour activation?
Yes, it's their Sunday kirtan and vinyasa. And so I'll be offering movement meditation and they'll be offering kirtan.
On September 4th.
Let me get my little puppy so you can see her.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Come here, Buttercup. Meet Sridhar.
Hey, where are you?
This is Buttercup, since you were hearing her.
Woo, hi. What do we have there?
This is a little long hair, little mini Dachshund, a little pandemic puppy.
Something happened with your sound.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's good. That's good.
We're back? Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So are you advising people to continue to try to be yoga teachers, or are you directing them to other paths or something like that?
Well, I think that we have more need than ever.
You do.
We have more need than ever. And so during the whole time, I started an online school, like many of us have. I had an online school, but this has been just a great gift to be able to gather together live, to bring in all of the dimensions of yoga, meditation and Ayurveda, and to go deeper in Svadhyaya and study of sacred texts, and to kind of be in rhythm together. So I'm actively mentoring yoga teachers who are having to change how they offer the practice. And I think if we're patient and we allow ourselves to be guided to where we can serve, that there can be even greater satisfaction, because you're looking at what's actually needed right in your own community. So it's some ingenuity, thinking outside the box. It's asking ourselves deep questions. What's this all about?
Always.
What do we want to be part of, supporting? And I do think more than ever, people are showing up for the soulful, holistic experience. I've always taught that way, but definitely, Vinyasa has had different branchings, and there's ways that Vinyasa merges with a fitness worldview. And, we all love to feel strong, alive, healthy. But I think that there's a place that movement meditation really integrated as a flowing experience, as a communion, as internal guidance. I feel we're ripe for that more than ever. And I've been seeing how communities can, in a way, come together and feel that change. Feel a more common purpose in a way. Like, I feel like people have become stronger practitioners because they really, really need it now. So if anyone is a yoga teacher and finding their way, like all of us, that just remember that very few people, when we say, we have 21,600 breaths that are given to us every day to assist us experiencing 100 breaths with not just full awareness, but realization, devotion, kind of cutting through the static on the surface that may, in a way, like malnutrition, we may not be getting the full spiritual nutrition that's available to us every day and just in breathing. So when we reframe the need that's in the world and touch upon that in ourselves, then there's just so much application for yoga sadhana, and of course karma yoga is this is the time.
Where can people find more information about those ongoing classes?
Well, I feel really happy that I could finally drop the .com, so it's shivaray.love.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. You could do that, bhaktifest.love.
All right, I'll do it. Great. So you're inspired. You're where I noticed some lacking in the teachings are, now that I'm getting older, of course, I noticed that there's not much attention given to the elderly and helping them find a practice, find some sort of exercise or breathing. It makes me sad that people get to a certain age and they're just left so unattended, I know children have good wishes and best wishes, but most people can't take care of their families because they're too busy in the world. And I understand that. I don't agree with that. I'm a traditionalist from India who, the parents raise the kids, and then when the parents get older, the kids take care of the parents, and it's a perpetual thing been going on for thousands of years. But in the West, it's a whole different situation. It's the parents raise the kids go out in the world, and then I'm very fortunate, as you are, and we have wonderful children that look after us and make sure that I live with my daughter Bella.
I know, she's fantastic. I get emails from her. She's rocking it.
She is the best and the sweetest, and she looks after me. And just if I go down to the corner, I got to call her. That doubting. Stuff that you're doting is the word, doting over me. And it's nice as you get older. It's nice, if you're not in a husband-wife relationship and that your children step up, it's beautiful. It's wonderful that way, It brings me back to the point I wanted to make is when I was first teaching yoga, a lot of people don't know this, is I was also in the real estate business during the day. And then I would have my whites and I would go to the studio on 500 West End Avenue, Swami Satchidananda's Integral Yoga Institute, where it first started.
Wow.
And I would change and I would put on my whites and I would give my class, right? And I would go home. It was always free. It was never any monies involved, There was actually no music during those times, It was very hardcore, right. Very hardcore, just, the practice and the breathing, right? And the austerities, when people, I used to say, yeah, we used to drink a gallon of water and throw it all up or put the string in our nose.
Vamana, yes.
They would say, what is that? Where does that, I said, that was very important stuff in the early days to learn and understand, I know it's a hard thing liability-wise to be doing that today, but I think it's a very valuable practice, to go back to some of those old ways of doing things, and which shows me how much importance Ayurvedic is to this whole medical situation. I think Ayurvedic is primo on top of everything else.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes, yes.
Right. And more teachings and more understanding of those ways need to be imparted to the students of today. What do you think?
Yeah, I just happen to have it, and this is not my normal way, but did I not give you my book, Tending the Heart Fire?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a book about living yoga in Ayurveda and
I would love
through
to.
the seasons. I'll make sure I send it to you. But
Okay.
it's really for me the the path of which living yoga becomes integrated with nature, becomes integrated with the cosmic rhythm. I'm going back to an Ayurvedic retreat center where people can have that knowledge and awakening firsthand.
That's
And so
Somaterum, right?
actually, Manala theorem, but yeah, same kind of basically the same family group.
And
Yeah.
based on your recommendation, I did go there one time.
Yes, great.
And I did take a week-long Ayurvedic treatment. I've been
Beautiful.
trying to get back there, but ideally it's like 3 weeks, to a month to really settle in and get everything done right.
That's right.
But even a week, taking the
Yes.
time out, and even a week indulging yourself with that, very well worth. I love that place, and I look forward to going back to it again. And I understand you're going to be joining us in November at,
Yes.
at the Lunar Soul Retreat, Bhakti in Baja.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hanging out with
Me
you.
too.
I'm not going to get on the surfboard with you, even though I am very actively watching the World Surfing League and the finals that are coming up in a couple of weeks.
Right.
Wrestles, I love it. I just watched the last one in Tahiti, and
Right.
I loving watching them, and I can see how you're integrating that with your yoga practice and the freedom of expression that it affords you, and it's so nice to see. Right, I'm happy that you're going to be able to get in the water. The waves down there are very lovely. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, well, I love that we get to be together again in an intimate environment with different teachers offering different modalities, and that it's that time of year right before Thanksgiving where I feel like everybody naturally starts to move to the heart. And the thing about surfing is you're there with the Great Mother. You're there with the ocean. You can't control the waves. It's a process of communion and going past our fears and being willing to, for me, everything is a wave. That's like basic, Kashmiri Shaivism, right? The feeling of our breath as a wave, the feeling of change as a wave. And that's what we'll be doing together is, in the collective, I will be offering a whole week long journey so that people will be able to take home a, a simple movement meditation practice that if they're already longtime practitioners that can flower in different ways. So we'll be going on an elemental journey. The basis of it is as movement meditation, we're able to kind of change our nervous system and orient it in a profound way to be able to serve this circular experience. That's what I loved about Bhakti Fest is all of the modalities living together.
Right.
Morning movement meditation, sunrise meditation, japa, healing food, healing community, more breath, pranayama, kirtan, dance, yoga nidra. When you spend a week like that, it has a profound ritual effect. None of us come out the same way.
Absolutely. I call it, there's not an egg that has not been cracked by the end of the week.
Exactly.
And who's joining you is going to be an all-star cast also. The Kirtanias, VJ is booming it across Europe right now to huge success out of there. And Michael Brian Baker, famous favorite breathwork guy that we all love so much. It's going to be an extraordinary week, and people can get more information on our website, bhaktifest.com, as well as your website. So in closing, what would you like to mention or talk about? Anything that you would like to see happen out there, or what are your visions for the future in yoga and communities and things like that, as we step out a little bit from this 2 or 3 years, almost 4 years, sort of incarceration, I call it, right? And we're getting out there now and starting to feel good about stuff, which is why I like these small, intensive retreats that we're doing in Baja, because it gives people the opportunity to be in a safe environment and also dive deep throughout the whole week and really get to the next level. I love the big events too, but the small events with less people and more intensity, oh, I've been favoring them very well over the last couple of years. They've been great.
Yeah. Well, when I told you that I was in this World Arts and Culture program, I had a vision, I guess it's 30 years ago now, and I've been living it, and now it's crystallizing even more, which is our school is called Samudra Global School for Living Yoga. So I don't know if I had a chance to tell you this, but we have a little place now in Costa Rica. And so there's a hub there. There's a hub here in California. I also have a little place in Joshua Tree near the entrance point in 29 Palms, near Jumbo Rocks. And in Delphi is another place, and Kerala. And so kind of to continue this circumambulation and continue to experience the power of yoga and movement meditation to as many diverse communities as possible. And the part that I'm really concerned about is our LA community, is our Southern California community. So I really look forward. I've started teaching in Venice again at Shefa Yoga. I love what's happening with ecstatic dance in Venice. So I would love, you know, with Radha and Govindas and Topanga to at least, come together every 6 weeks or every month. Maybe it's at Wisdoms, but I would like to see that the LA, Southern California community gets a rhythm in which we can gather together more frequently. I feel like that's what we're missing. I feel very connected to our global evolution and what's happening and the regreening of the earth and the ecology and the diversification of our community. Let's, Sridhar, bring more of a local rhythm now, and so that we can find each other and be with each other and activate each other in our soulful journey together.
I like that very much. I like all those ideas, and we're going to be doing it.
Wonderful. And come to Costa Rica.
We're working on it. I would love to. So people can get more information on the September 4th with Govindas and Radha from the Bhakti Yoga Shala. It's also going to be up on our other websites. And then more information on what you're doing on your website, and more information of what you're doing with us on the Lunar Soul Retreats, November 11th, for a 1 week intense diving in deep into our sadhana, really every single day from 7 in the morning to 10 o'clock at night. We have arts, we have playhouse, we have so many different avenues that we do. It's going to be a wonderful time. And I love you so much. And
oh, Sridhar, yeah, I'm so happy to see you thriving.
Yes.
And that to see you live soon, shortly, and whoever